In every age, there comes a moment when a handful of humans stand between freedom and oblivion. A moment when courage is measured not by victory, but by the willingness to die for something greater than oneself. This story is not about kings, nor about empires, nor about armies beyond counting. It is about 300 men who walked willingly into the jaws of death. And the question that echoes through history remains the same. What gives a warrior the strength to stand when the whole world marches against him? In the year 480 BC, the world trembled beneath the footsteps of an empire so vast that its kings claimed dominion over nations rising and falling like waves against its borders. This was the Persian Empire, ruled at the time by King Xerxes, son of Darius, a ruler who commanded lands stretching from the mountains of Anatolia to the banks of the Indus River. His armies were legendary in size, and his ambition even greater, for he sought to conquer all of Greece, a small but fiercely independent collection of city-states that refused to kneel before any king on earth. Xerxes had spent years gathering forces from every corner of his empire. Warriors marched from the deserts of Egypt, the plains of Babylon, the rugged plateaus of Media, and the coasts of Phoenicia. They brought with them their own languages, armor, and fighting styles. Ancient writers spoke of an army so large that rivers dried when they drank and roads darkened beneath their numbers. Whether exaggerated or not, the force that moved westward was undeniably immense, supported by a fleet of hundreds of ships trailing along the coast. Xerxes believed that resistance would crumble quickly before the sheer weight of his power. But in the Greek lands, news of the Persian advance stirred alarm and urgency. The Greek city-states were famous for their rivalries. Athens and Sparta often clashed for dominance. Smaller cities aligned or opposed one another in a shifting tapestry of alliances. Yet in the face of the Persian invasion, something remarkable happened. Representatives gathered at the little town of Corinth and agreed to unite in defense of their homeland. This was no small decision. It required the sworn enemies of Greece to fight as one for their freedom. Among all the Greek leaders, one stood out as the embodiment of discipline and courage: King Leonidas of Sparta. The Spartan way of life was unlike any other in Greece. Boys were taken from their mothers at age 7 and trained relentlessly in the agoge, a system designed to shape them into warriors who knew no fear and no hesitation. Every Spartan man lived for the moment he would defend his city-state with his life, if necessary. Leonidas himself came from a royal line, descended from the mythic hero Heracles, and he carried that legacy with pride, tempered by duty. When the Greek generals debated how to delay the massive Persian army, they settled on a narrow mountain pass called Thermopylae, known as the Hot Gates because of its nearby sulfur springs. The pass was so constricted that only a few soldiers could fight abreast. It was the perfect place to neutralize the Persian numbers. If the Greeks could hold the pass long enough, the rest of Greece would have time to prepare their defenses, and the Athenian fleet could secure the nearby straits. Leonidas chose 300 of his personal guard to accompany him. These were not young men. Spartan law required that only men with grown sons could join such a mission, meaning they were seasoned warriors who had already secured the continuation of their bloodline. Alongside them marched several thousand allied Greeks who shared the determination to resist. Though vastly outnumbered, They stepped into the pass with an unshakable resolve, born from loyalty to their homeland and belief in the cause. When Xerxes arrived at Thermopylae, he expected the Greeks to scatter at the sight of his forces. Instead, he found them calmly preparing for battle. Spartan hoplites stood polishing their bronze shields and combing their long hair, a ritual that signified they were ready to die with honor. The Persian king was astonished that such a small force dared oppose him. He sent envoys demanding that the Greeks lay down their arms. Leonidas answered with two simple words spoken without fear: "Come and take them." The first day of battle erupted with the fury of tens of thousands of Persian infantry charging into the narrow pass. But the geography favored the Greeks. Shoulder to shoulder, the hoplites formed the phalanx, a wall of shields and spears bristling outward like the quills of a metal beast. The Persians crashed against it again and again, only to be pushed back with brutal precision. The Spartans fought with disciplined rhythm, stepping forward in unison, striking, retreating, stepping again. They killed so efficiently that ancient chroniclers described the entrance of the pass as a scene of horror littered with bodies piled upon one another. Xerxes watched from a nearby hill, growing increasingly furious. His elite infantry, known as the Immortals, were summoned to break the stalemate. Clad in ornate armor and trained to perfection, they were the pride of the Persian military. Yet, even they struggled within the confines of the narrow pass, where their numbers meant nothing and the Greek shields held firm. By nightfall, the Persians had achieved little beyond heavy losses. The Greeks had proven that courage and discipline could stand against overwhelming might. The second day unfolded much like the first. Persian archers filled the sky with arrows darkening the light itself. Yet the Greek hoplites lifted their shields and endured the volley unmoved. More infantry charged and were repelled by the unbreakable wall of bronze. Word spread among the Persian ranks that the Spartans fought as if guided by the gods themselves. The morale of the vast invading army wavered while the smaller Greek force held steady. But fate is shaped not only by valor, but by betrayal. On the night after the second day, a local Greek named Ephialtes approached Xerxes with a secret. He revealed a hidden trail through the mountains that would allow Persian troops to circle the pass and trap the Greeks. Seeking to end the stalemate, Xerxes seized the opportunity and sent a detachment of troops to march through the night. Greek scouts discovered the encircling forces too late to save the position. Leonidas gathered his allies and explained the situation. Retreat was still possible for many, but not for all. The Spartan king dismissed the majority of the Greek army to preserve their strength for future battles. He remained with his 300 Spartans, along with several hundred Thespians and Thebans, who chose to stay beside them. They knew they faced certain death, but they also knew that their sacrifice would become a rallying cry for all of Greece. As dawn broke, the Persians advanced from both sides. Leonidas stood at the forefront, commanding his men with calm authority. The Greeks surged forward one final time, fighting in the open as their ranks thinned and their weapons splintered. The battle turned fierce and chaotic. Leonidas himself fell in the thick of combat, and his men fought desperately to protect his body from capture. When they were finally overwhelmed, they made their last stand upon a nearby hill, refusing to surrender until the very last warrior had fallen. The pass was lost, but the Persian victory came at a tremendous cost. The bravery of the defenders inspired the Greek world, Across the land, citizens took up arms, motivated by the example of Leonidas and his companions. In the months that followed, Greek forces defeated the Persian navy at Salamis and crushed the remaining Persian army at Plataea, ensuring the survival of Greece and the beginnings of what would become Western civilization. Thermopylae remains one of the most enduring stories of wartime history, a testament to the power of courage, unity, and sacrifice. It teaches that even when surrounded by impossible odds, the actions of a few can echo across centuries, shaping the fate of nations. Long after the dust settled on the battlefield, the legacy of those who stood at the hot gates continued to burn bright in the memory of humankind, a reminder that the strength of a people is measured not by the size of their armies, but by the depth of their resolve. If this story moved you, imagine how many more untold battles shaped the world you live in today. Stories of courage, betrayal, sacrifice, and impossible defiance waiting to be brought back to life. Subscribe to the channel and join me as we uncover the forgotten moments of history that still echo across the ages. Like the video, share it with someone who loves epic wartime stories, and let me know in the comments which legend we should travel into next. The past is never truly gone. Together, we bring it back.